Welcome back. I wanted to talk about perfectionism today, especially in the context of my own life, and give some insight that might help someone out. So I define perfectionism as holding yourself to too high of a standard, almost a flawless standard that you can never really achieve. And I'm going to talk about it in the context of making videos or content, but it also applies for any other skill or hobby, I guess. So if you're like me and you've got perfectionist tendencies, you'll know the feeling of having an uphill battle with yourself. When you try to learn something new, it'll feel like pushing a boulder up a hill because it's hard to come to terms with the fact that you are kind of trash at what you're trying to do. And of course you're going to be trash at something if it's the first or second or third or fourth time you're trying to do it. That is very, very logical, but some people that are this way inclined still have really high expectations of themselves on their first attempt. And with this mindset, expectations are always going to beat results every single time. And then that leads to us almost being fearful of trying new things because we'll always fall short of our standards. And no one wants to feel like a failure, right? With me, I noticed more hesitancy and procrastination in my life because perfectionism stopped me not from starting things, but from completing them. For example, I'd start a video and 9 times out of 10, I'd end up scrapping it, because I didn't think the premise or the script was worthy enough of being completed. So for me, it didn't stop me from starting things, but it held me back from completing them. Having such high expectations made me more indecisive about the process of something, because at every step I'd be worried that I was going to ruin it or make a wrong turn and end up having to delete what I'd already done. And then ironically, I'd always end up deleting it anyway, because I was too nervous about completing it. See, it doesn't make any sense. It's not logical. So that's what I was left with, a mountain of unfinished projects. And I definitely argue that, at least with something new, having something completed at any level of quality, even if it doesn't meet whatever our ridiculous standards are, that is almost always more beneficial, especially if it's something new, than being halfway or at the start of something and scrapping it just to make something better. Which is that better thing really ever going to come about? I don't know. But that's what I mean. You can't beat perfectionism. By definition, you can't beat it. It's always going to be an uphill battle. The only way to get around it is by zooming out and recalibrating your standards in the context of your own life, and then you'll probably realize that you're not a failure and things are worth completing. You should see the process from further away. When you're overwhelmed, remember to take a step back. When was the last time you thought about how you were at that thing a year ago or 2 years ago? And if you'd never even heard of it, then that's already progress for you. Give yourself some time before you write it off as a failure. You gotta show some humility. Of course you're not gonna be good at it yet. Tell your brain that and drill it in, or it'll do the opposite to you. If you're not careful, it'll double the size of the boulder and it'll get so heavy that you'll let go just to get a breath of fresh air. And this is what I've found to be the remedy to perfectionism and procrastination, which for me are basically synonymous. You should dive into experimentation. Do something because you're not good at it. Go against what you're used to. Ignore the warning lights. How do you expect to improve if your standards are too high to give an attempt? Like with creating videos, your first goal shouldn't be to make an incredible video with a perfect premise and idea. It should be to make a video and publish it. Literally any video. That's going to be the hardest step. And do whatever you can to push to completion. You got to make the habit of finishing things that you start. And then you'll realize when it's done that it wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be. If you do this enough, you'll recalibrate your own standards, and you might even be proud of yourself for it. Just remember that perfectionism can never be quenched, no matter what you do. You gotta switch your mindset and allow yourself to learn. Show some humility. Take a step back if you have to, and then push the boulder until it's over the hill. And that's how I've dealt with perfectionism. If you enjoyed, feel free to subscribe and like and leave a comment maybe. Really appreciate the support recently. New video coming soon. Bye.